because it's October, it's time to talk about some horror films. So this is Horror Notes back here. And there was a film from a film YouTuber that Zach and I interviewed about 5 years ago, Daisuke Beppu. He reviewed a movie shortly after we interviewed him from 1960. And it's also on a Criterion. And it is a movie directed by Nobuo Nakagawa. And that is Jigoku, or The Sinners of Hell, or just Hell. It goes by 3 different titles. But Jigoku was a film that I was super interested in watching based off Daisuke's amazing Criterion review. When I put it down, I've been postponing this watch for a while, and I hadn't. I've owned this movie, and finally, it's like this is the time to finally knock it off. It's celebrating its anniversary, and it's a very fascinating film. Essentially, it follows a young man, Zero, played by Suguru Amachi, and he is, he's engaged to this lady who is a daughter of a professor, but he has this kind of friend that is not the greatest influence. And while the friend and him are driving in a car, they hit a person and they kind of do a hit and run. However, that chain of events does set up some crazy different things in their life, and people die in kind of sudden ways as well. And it's very interesting how it takes a little bit to get going, but the last 40 minutes of it, when they're actually in hell and suffering what hell is in the movie, that's where you get some of the more kind of horror themed elements. It's definitely a folksy kind of horror film. It's not something that's going to have like these great, like, it's not like a modern slasher by any means. It's definitely a Japanese horror film, which I do enjoy that style of horror. There's another I can't remember the name of the movie. I don't want to misquote the name, so I might just leave it in the comments section if this comes out. But it's a fascinating film, and it did so poorly for the studio financially, because the studio, as the director was making this movie, became bankrupt. And so to save cost on production, he basically just told the actors to dig holes when they were in hell. So to make it kind of more, just kind of get the job done instead of hiring this production crew. So financially, it wasn't like a big successful film, but I definitely see Nakagawa's kind of direction here. And it's a fascinating watch on Criterion. I'm looking forward to dive into this one more because there's a documentary on here on the Blu-ray here. It's called Building the Inferno. And this is about the making of this movie, and everything I've heard about this director, this was like his masterpiece film. While I'm not extremely like super like 4 stars high on it, it is one that I'm definitely gonna have to process and do another watch on. It is a very interesting style film because there's some really interesting concepts. There's a guy here, Tamura, who Yoshi Namada, who plays Zero's friend. He has this amazing look. Whenever he's on the screen, he absolutely pops off of it. However, he played in like The Ring and Ring 2, which is in the late 90s, which is kind of the kind of a modern Japanese horror film there. But The Sinners of Hell, or Jigoku, a fascinating watch that if you're into like Japanese horror films, I think this is kind of a must viewing here. I do have it at like 3.5 stars, which is like my third film from number 3 film in 1960. This is definitely something that I was scared to watch, but at the same time, it was really cool to kind of finally experience it on the first Horror Notes of 2025. So Jigoku, not streaming on Criterion, and this is the only version they sell is the DVD. So if you are looking for it, Spine 352.